Ever find yourself losing your cool when someone cuts you off on the road, or replaying an awkward conversation in your mind over and over again because you didn't speak up in the moment? That quick surge of frustration, that deep, gnawing feeling of being misunderstood, it can feel like it takes over your whole body. It's like your emotions hijack your entire being, and suddenly, you're consumed by this anger or regret that doesn't seem to go away. You might even find yourself obsessing over a small moment, thinking, why didn't I say something? Why didn't I stand up for myself? And it lingers throughout the day, throughout the week, constantly in the back of your mind. It's exhausting. But here's the thing. You don't have to stay stuck in that emotional loop. What if I told you that there's a way to completely transform how you react, to stop allowing anything or anyone to steal your peace? What if I told you that you can develop such a level of calm that even the most frustrating situations seem like they don't faze you at all? Imagine being able to move through life, no matter what comes your way, without feeling that initial wave of anger or frustration. That's the power of mastering your mind. We'll uncover how to become mentally untouchable, so unbothered, so grounded, that it leaves others wondering, how do they stay so composed, no matter what life throws at them? You deserve to live in a state of peace, untouchable by external drama. And I'm going to show you how to make that your reality. We all react emotionally in situations. It's part of being human. But the real question is, why do we react so quickly, so strongly? Why does our heart race? And why do we feel so deeply affected by things that, in the grand scheme of life, aren't actually life or death? The truth is, our brains are hardwired to respond in this way. But here's the catch. That wiring was designed for survival, not for dealing with the modern-day chaos. See, our minds are still operating as if we're living in a time when survival meant fending off physical threats, like predators or hostile tribes. Back then, a quick burst of anger or fear was essential for protecting our lives. It was a protective mechanism built to help us react fast to danger, whether it was the sudden appearance of a wild animal or an aggressive competitor in the community. But the problem is, that same part of our brain still operates today, and it's not always helping us in the world we live in now. Today, when someone cuts us off in traffic or gives us a rude gesture, our brain treats it as though we're facing a life-threatening event, triggering a response that's disproportionate to the situation. When someone ignores our messages or gives us the cold shoulder, our mind triggers that same emotional reaction as though it's a signal for survival, even though it's just a simple social interaction. The truth is, your brain is doing its job. It's just stuck in the past, using outdated survival mechanisms. It doesn't know that being ignored on social media isn't a threat to your survival. It doesn't know that a disagreement with a colleague won't lead to life or death consequences. Instead, it reacts as though you're facing something that could endanger you. And before you know it, you've fallen into an emotional storm, not because you need to, but because your brain has been conditioned over thousands of years to react in this way. So understanding this is key. The good news, you can learn how to override this automatic response. You have the power to choose your reaction. This is where mental strength comes into play. It's about creating a space between that first emotional reaction and your response, and in that space lies your true power. This is where you can decide not to let something ruin your peace. It's where the choice to stay calm, to not give in to anger, begins. Now let's tackle a major source of unnecessary stress in our lives: the tendency to believe that everything revolves around us. It's something we all experience, sometimes without even realizing it. Have you ever noticed someone giving you a cold, dismissive look, and immediately your mind jumps into overdrive? Did I do something wrong, you think? Or maybe someone doesn't respond to your text right away, and suddenly, your mind starts spinning with worst-case scenarios, feeling like you've been personally attacked. It's an automatic reflex for many of us. We begin to take everything personally, believing that others' actions are a direct reflection of us, that somehow we are the cause of their behavior. But here's the reality check. Not everything that happens around you is a reflection of you. The truth is, people are often dealing with their own issues, their own stress, and their own struggles. They're carrying emotional baggage you know nothing about, and their behavior is usually more about their internal world than anything you did. It could be that someone is having a rough day, dealing with their own insecurities, or struggling with something that has absolutely nothing to do with you. Yet, we often absorb these external emotions as though they are ours to carry. We make it about us, assuming that we are the reason someone seems upset or distant. But in reality, we're just taking on a load of someone else's emotional junk. It's like inviting someone to dump their emotional baggage onto your doorstep. The truth is, if you continue to absorb everyone else's emotional clutter, you're not protecting yourself. You're volunteering to carry a load that isn't even yours to bear. So, here's a simple, yet profound change in mindset. Not my energy, not my problem. When you choose to let go of what others throw your way, you stop allowing them to disrupt your inner calm. You start to take back control of your emotional space. Imagine the freedom in that. Now let's dive deeper into a powerful concept: emotional minimalism. Just as we've learned to clear out the clutter in our homes, simplifying our physical surroundings, we can also practice the same principles when it comes to our emotional lives. Think about it. What if we didn't let every little thing get under our skin? What if we could rise above the small irritations, the comments that sting, the moments when people rub us the wrong way? Instead of reacting impulsively, what if we saved our energy for the things that truly deserve our attention and emotional investment? It's so easy to get sucked into the noise of everyday life, the tiny annoyances, the little jabs, the things that don't really matter but somehow manage to trigger us. And before we know it, our day is tainted by these trivial moments, distracting us from what's really important. But here's where the shift happens. Every time you choose to let something go, to remain calm rather than respond in anger or frustration, you're making a powerful choice. You're telling your brain, "This isn't worth my peace." Over time, this simple practice becomes a habit. The more you choose to stay calm, the easier it gets. Eventually, it becomes your default response: calm, unshaken, collected. This is where true emotional freedom resides. It's the ability to rise above the small stuff and preserve your energy for the things that truly matter. It's not about ignoring your feelings or suppressing your emotions. It's about becoming intentional with where you focus your emotional energy. By practicing emotional minimalism, you stop reacting to everything that doesn't deserve your time and mental space, and instead, you choose peace. That's where your emotional power lies. It's not in responding to every trigger. It's in the freedom to decide when and how you engage with the world around you. So, what happens when you start applying this level of emotional control in your life? You'll notice a profound shift, one that you might not have expected at first. People who thrive on drama, whether it's in the workplace, in social circles, or even in digital spaces, will start to be thrown off by your unshakable calm. They'll test you, trying to provoke a reaction, pushing your buttons to see if they can get you to engage. But when they see that you don't take the bait, when they realize that their efforts don't stir you, they'll either change their approach or they'll simply back off. Here's where things get really interesting. Once you stop reacting emotionally, people will likely start labeling you as cold or stoic. At first, it may sting a bit. You might wonder if others see you as distant or unapproachable. But this is actually a sign that you've developed strong, healthy boundaries. People who once expected you to jump into their emotional turmoil will start to fade away when they realize that you no longer participate in the chaos. You're not being dismissive or rude. You're simply refusing to let their drama take up space in your world. You've learned that you don't need to feed into their emotional storms, and as a result, you're protecting your inner peace. The moment you stop reacting to everything around you, you start showing the world that your energy is precious, and you choose not to waste it on things that don't align with your well-being. This is where real strength emerges. Strength is not in lashing out or showing how much we care about everything that happens to us. Strength is the ability to remain calm in the face of adversity, to be unshaken even when the world around you is spinning. It's the ability to sit with your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. When you've been disrespected, and you choose not to react, when you feel the need to defend yourself, but decide it's not worth the effort, that's when you've truly mastered your emotions. The calm you see in others in chaotic situations isn't a sign of indifference. It's a result of conscious practice. It's the result of training yourself to sit with discomfort, to let emotions pass without acting on them. But how do you get there? Just like building physical strength, mental toughness is a skill you develop over time. It's not a trait you're born with. It's built through resistance and repetition. Start small. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, don't react. The next time someone interrupts you in a conversation, stay silent instead of feeling the need to prove your point. Choose to stay calm when things don't go your way. Every time you resist the urge to react, you strengthen your emotional control. Slowly, over time, the little things that used to derail your day won't even faze you. That's when you've truly leveled up. The key is this: it's not about becoming emotionless or detached from the world. It's about not letting everything and everyone dictate your emotional state. When you allow yourself to pause before reacting, to protect your peace, and to move on, you start to create a new kind of strength. You stop handing your power away to situations and people who don't deserve it. Instead, you take back your emotional control and become someone who remains unshaken by life's challenges. In philosophy, there's a concept known as stoicism, the idea that we should not be ruled by our emotions, but rather respond with wisdom and clarity. The Stoics believe that external events are out of our control, but how we respond to them is within our power. This is the essence of what we're talking about here. By practicing emotional control, by choosing not to react, we take the power away from external forces and regain control over our own peace of mind. So, the next time life throws something irritating your way, whether it's a petty comment from a stranger, a disrespectful post from an online troll, or even that relentless voice in your head overthinking everything, pause for a moment. Remind yourself that you have the ultimate power, the power to choose how you respond. You don't have to jump into every conflict. You don't have to internalize every insult. You don't have to let your thoughts spiral until you're exhausted and drained. Instead, you can pause. You can breathe. You can protect your peace like it's your most valuable possession, because it is. That moment of stillness, of choosing not to react, is where your power truly lives. When you start practicing this kind of awareness, you begin to realize something transformative. Your peace isn't at the mercy of external events. It's not something other people can give or take away from you. It's yours. It always has been. All it takes is a decision to no longer be pulled into emotional battles that don't deserve your energy. Over time, you'll notice you're no longer easily rattled. People can say what they want. Situations can unfold however they will, but you remain composed, grounded, centered. You become the calm in the middle of chaos, not because you're emotionless, but because you've mastered your emotions. That's what it means to be mentally untouchable. This is your personal journey toward becoming unshakable, not a version of yourself that suppresses emotion, but one that governs it with clarity, purpose, and strength. A self that stands so firmly in its values and so rooted in its inner peace that nothing and no one can knock it off balance. And that kind of mental strength, that's not just admirable, it's a form of wisdom. It's a superpower disguised as silence, a quiet force that sets you free.